Welcome, everyone. It's John Pollock and Jimmy Korderas, and this is the WWE Fastlane preview from yours truly as we are going into our final show before WrestleMania, where I guess the picture will be much clearer after Sunday, where we have Kevin Owens defending the Universal title against Bill Goldberg, Roman Reigns taking on Braun Strowman. Those are some of your key matches, along with Bayley and Charlotte. I think that would have the lion's share of the attention going into Sunday's show. What have you thought of the build-up so far? We can start with the main event with Owens and Goldberg.
Well, at first when this match was first announced, I was kind of skeptical because of obviously the history with Goldberg and Brock Lesnar beating him in a minute 26. How do you get past him facing a Kevin Owens and on paper and going off of that booking? You would think that Goldberg would have to just plow right through Kevin Owens, just like he did Brock Lesnar. But after listening to 2 weeks of Kevin Owens post breakup with Chris Jericho, I like the fact that he's at least planted seeds of doubt as to whether Goldberg will be able to run through him. It makes you think like there's a plan afoot.
Yeah, it's definitely been a shift for Owens, where it's away from any semblance of comedy, serious promos, and casting it into doubt. The outcome for Sunday, I don't think there is much doubt. I think Bill Goldberg is leaving with this title, but I'm very interested in how this match is laid out, because Owens should not be doing a 50-50 match with Goldberg for 15, 20 minutes. That's great short term of helping Owens look really strong, but when you're getting to WrestleMania, and especially the main event, the focus is Goldberg. That's the priority, and he probably should run through Owens. But there's lots of ways you can manipulate this. I mean, you have the Samoa Joe factor. If Hunter's going to set Joe out there as like an insurance policy, can Jericho thwart that backup plan? There's all these different ways they can go on Sunday that still gets you to your same destination of Goldberg Lesnar for the title and Owens Jericho at WrestleMania. Yeah,
that's going to be the creative challenge, coming up with a finish that would appease, like you said, everybody leading into WrestleMania. You don't want... I don't like to see a distracted finish, like Kevin Owens being distracted, because that, again, takes away from the Goldberg thing. Goldberg should look very strong coming out of this and not looking like he had a little bit of help, but at the same time, it's got to be done in a way where Kevin Owens at least has that heel gripe, where he got robbed for some reason, whatever. So that's going to be the creative. But I agree with you. Goldberg has to leave, in my opinion, Fastlane as a champion if that's the goal going to WrestleMania, him and Brock Lesnar for the title.
Too often it's a match is laid out and it's the focus is, well, we've got to protect the guy losing. And when you do that, to some degree, it serves no purpose, because the point of it is that Goldberg needs to look like a monster.
Yep.
And part of that, when you have big programs, is a winner and a loser. People will claim they want to see clean finishes, but you don't want to see the effects of what a clean finish has, where there's a winner and there's a loser, and that there are stakes attached to a match. Yeah. And that's what you have here on Sunday. And doing a finish that just protects Owens does nothing to help Goldberg. No. And instead you have two guys that it's just a match, and the guys are on the same level as where they came into the show. And why are we even having this match then?
Exactly. Like you said, I totally agree with you that, once you try to protect somebody, going out of your way to protect somebody, it kind of hamstrings the guy you're trying to elevate. That's exactly what you said. So that's going to be the creative challenge with coming up with a finish here that'll benefit Goldberg the way they want him to be benefited after this match. And then you talk about, rebuilding after a devastating loss, one that doesn't protect, so to speak, Kevin Owens. You look at Brock Lesnar losing in a minute 26 seconds, and everybody said, Brock Lesnar lost his steam. When he came back on Monday Night Raw and he took out, pretty much the entire top half of the roster, you forgot about that minute and 26 seconds. So it can be done. You can rebuild.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I go back to that Survivor Series finish, and I know, Dan Lavransky has brought this up many times, that he feels it's really affected Brock's steam, and I don't agree. I think that Brock came out of that match where you want to see the rematch. I thought you did enough in the Rumble with him, where he threw out a lot of guys before Brock's number was caught again by Goldberg.
Right.
And I feel that's a really viable match for WrestleMania. I think come WrestleMania, that's going to be the match that has a ton of intrigue to it. You're throwing the title into it. I feel it is the main event program. I don't see too many faults in how this Goldberg-Lesnar program has built from Survivor Series, where, let's remember, Jimmy, when that match was booked, it was supposed to be one and done at Survivor Series. And here they've taken this one and done match and turned it into what could be the final match at WrestleMania. It will be promoted as the main event.
Yeah, I can see this closing out WrestleMania, and like you said, John, Goldberg in this entire run since he's been back has been the most organically over babyface that they've had. And whether you want to label him or put that part-timer tag on him or not, it doesn't matter, because when you're generating that kind of interest, when you're generating that reaction from an audience, that genuine babyface reaction that is hard to get nowadays.
They like to get behind people that feel real, which his promos have for the most part, and someone that just, this guy's a monster. He runs through people. Who doesn't want to back a dominant monster that Goldberg's looked at this point? And it's, to me, it's counter to all the arguments that it's so hard for baby faces to get over. But if you present them in a natural way, people will gravitate towards them. And that's always been the case with baby faces. Bayley would be another one where it's someone that she feels genuine on television, and the audience gets behind them. So I think it's a very intriguing main event, more so for the layout of the match. I'm not expecting 15, 20 minutes here. Does this hit 5 minutes? Maybe is a better question, Jimmy.
With entrances and pyro and introductions, probably.
So that is. Do you think that closes the show as well?
I think it has to.
Me too.
I think it has to close the show. I mean, like, there are other, like you said, you have Reigns and Strowman, which is an important match. You've got other good matches, like you got Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe, which will be a good match. That is the main program going into WrestleMania. That should be the match that closes out fast.
I don't think there's another option to close the show. I mean, you could, I think if your argument would be, what would be the other match that could close the show? Like Reigns, Strowman, or Bayley, Charlotte? I just don't see it happening. I think if you're going to do a title change, it should be on last. It shouldn't be forgotten at the end of the show.
Exactly.
Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. I mean, the evolution of Braun Strowman has been quite remarkable to watch. This has been a guy that has been presented very well, and as much as you can talk about hiding certain weaknesses, I mean, this guy has been put out there, and they've gone out on a limb with him. They've put him in longer matches, and this guy has risen to the challenge, in my opinion. He has, every test he's been presented with, to me, he has passed. Had a surprisingly strong match with the Big Show.
Yeah.
Not match of the year, but way above my expectations. I thought they put that together really well. And I could see a scenario where they don't beat Braun Strowman here. I could see somehow Braun gets the win here, and that propels Roman Reigns into his program with Taker, where maybe he's got something to prove now.
Right.
And with Braun, I just feel you've done such a great job with this undefeated streak. It doesn't feel like the time to beat him on Sunday. No,
I don't think so either, especially going into WrestleMania. Maybe this is not similar to the WrestleMania streak of The Undertaker, but at least an undefeated streak, kind of like, maybe down the road, a Goldberg type streak where he, goes, whatever, 50-0 or 60, or maybe they do get to 100. Maybe you can build him up that way. But I agree with you again that his evolution from when he first broke away from the Wyatts and when he was first presented on television as this guy who destroyed no-name talent, enhancement talent A and enhancement talent B, and several times it was a combination of them in one match, and people were complaining, we want to see him against stiffer competition. That's the idea. That was the whole idea. That was the plan, guys. You know what I mean? And then evolution, he moves along. They moved him along slowly. And then it seemed like he went from, he took a big leap. And now he was being presented as maybe a main event guy. And like you said, he's delivered against Big Show. Those two worked very well together. Big props to Big Show, because Big Show made him look like $1 million. And Show gets underrated for his work. When he's motivated, Show is as good as anybody as far as ring psychology and helping talent get over. And typically, I mean, that's a guy, I'm with you on Big Show. I don't think that guy gets enough credit for things he does and how
for a guy that can be inserted into a main event spot like that just on a whim. And I really thought this evident a few years ago when he worked with Alberto Del Rio, and they had just turned him babyface, and it was a really bad turn for Del Rio, and he got paired with Big Show, and Big Show did everything in his power to help get this guy over. And they had some, I thought, good matches together, and Big Show, he's a great utility guy that you can have. Not someone that you necessarily have to put a title on or put in a featured position, but if you need something, a quick fix like you did a few weeks ago, and they helped retain that audience in the third hour as well. And there were two sides to that equation with Strowman and Big Show.
Yeah, that being said, the match with Roman Reigns, you talked about Goldberg being over organically because he's presented as himself. When Roman Reigns first split from the Shield, we had that Roman Reigns where he felt organic, it felt him. And then all of a sudden we got Thuffer and Thuckatash and Tater Tots, and that...
Which is the exact example against why Goldberg's been so successful, is that when you have someone that doesn't feel natural and it does feel forced, like that crap that he had to utter on television, people instantly don't feel connected to the person.
Exactly. So now they're starting to get back to the, less is more as far as his promos go. He's direct. He's to the point. He comes across as a badass, which is cool. But at the same time, the audience is now, dug in their heels. Now they're in their anti-Roman Reigns mode, and I don't know if they'll be able to turn him, into the babyface they want him to be. Mind you, he's still, as far as merchandise sales and stuff like that, he's up there with the rest of the guys, but still. From an aesthetic point of view, for the vocal minority, or maybe they're not the minority, I don't know. It's hard to tell anymore anyways.
Would you expect a Taker appearance on Sunday?
You almost think you have to, but at the same time, you can save it for Monday. I don't think it has to be done on Sunday because if you do too much on Sunday, like now you're setting up WrestleMania, you're setting up your Roman Reigns Undertaker on Sunday. You don't want to take away too much from the Goldberg big win, which we're assuming will close the show. You don't want people saying, wow, Goldberg won, and Undertaker, and this, and that. You want one big focus at the end of that. And then I think you can reasonably look at Monday as the setup for Roman Reigns and Undertaker and go from there.
Do you think at all it was a mistake on SmackDown this past week with John Cena bringing up how, if it was his situation for WrestleMania, he'd be facing The Undertaker. And there's a lot of the audience that probably suddenly a light went off. It's like, yeah, we do want to see that match and probably want to see that more than they do Roman Reigns and The Undertaker. It's like you've planted a seed for people that you're not paying off at WrestleMania. Maybe at some point they'll get to that match with Cena and The Undertaker, but not this year's WrestleMania.
Right. I think it was more of like a kind of like a to the internet rumors, because that was the rumored match going in as of a couple of months ago.
That was the match last year that they were planning for before he got hurt.
And it's a match now that it's been rumored so often, people want to see it. It's kind of like the Sting Undertaker thing. It was rumored so often, people were like dying to see it. Now they're dying to see Cena Undertaker, and it was kind of, I think it was more like a wink to the internet wrestling community, or those who read the websites and read the rumors. I think it was more like a kind of like an offhanded comment for them. Because let's be honest. If Cena and Taker really wanted to have a match together at WrestleMania, I think they can make it happen.
Let's move on. Bayley and Charlotte. This was somewhat strange that they ended up having Bayley win the title on a random episode of Raw in Las Vegas. Now comes into this rematch where I can't see anything other than Charlotte wins the title back on Sunday, and I just think that's. Either you're going to end this streak that you've spent so much time behind and building up, which I can't see them ending, or you're going to do a title change. I think either outcome here, you're going to have people really questioning the decision here.
Yeah, and then you got to figure out how do Nia Jax and Sasha Banks figure into the mix? I mean, they have a match earlier. I think I'm not sure if it's pre-show.
It's on the actual Fastlane, but yeah, they'll be on the card.
So do they figure into the finish of this match?
It would feel too early to do. Like, you could do something impactful where Sasha turns, but I almost feel that's too soon to do that. And if they were to do that, I would want Bayley and Sasha paired off together. It doesn't really build a four-way to me. I just think that Raw title change, it was just booking for one night and not really looking at that possible scene for WrestleMania, Bayley winning the title for the first time, which I don't think they really value that first title win. It's just, well, she can regain the title at WrestleMania as this title is just your hot potato championship.
It's almost like it's this weird mindset where they're fascinated with this Charlotte winning the title back on pay-per-views and constantly losing it on regular television. It's like, to me, that just... I don't like that. It doesn't sit well with me. I never did. And it's almost like they're trying to tease the fact that she's closing in on her dad's 16-time record, or wait a minute, tied now with John Cena. But
yeah, she could be well ahead of it, as Big E predicted she would within a year.
By the end of this year.
So, I mean, I'm assuming Charlotte's champion after Sunday. That's my guess.
It seems to be the pattern. Let's stick with that. It's like betting on the Patriots. Until somebody beats them, you keep betting them, and then that's it.
Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn, I feel this is, originally the idea was Seth Rollins would be in this position taking on Samoa Joe. I feel given the way in which the main event probably goes, this is going to be your big workhorse match. I can see these guys getting 20 minutes and, hey, go out there and just have the match of the night, which they seem poised to have.
Yeah, and you're coming off a great match that Sami had with, not Sami, but Samoa Joe had with Cesaro. I mean, although condensed because it was Raw on television. I'm looking forward to this match. I'm curious to see how they present Samoa Joe. To me, he has to win this match to continue his dominance and his destroyer.
In a different set of circumstances, I mean, this is a unique one with a main event like this. I would argue this would be the one where Joe should just run through Sami and not have a competitive match, just in the way in which he beat Roman Reigns and how he's been just presented as this next monster. But on this kind of a show, I think you have to go out and have the big 20-plus minute match.
Right, you have to appease that audience as well. You
also have to fill time on this show.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, what the WWE has been good at doing lately that they don't get credit for again is because they're kind of like a variety show. They have a little bit of something for everybody on the show. This is the match that's going to appease to the most vocal people, I think.
So I think a safe assumption that Joe gets the win here.
I think so.
Tag titles, Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows against Enzo and Cass. They're very much teasing an Enzo turn, which I don't know how that will go. Maybe they're not going that direction, but it certainly seems
it feels like it.
That they're turning him into like this annoying pest.
Yeah, it's kind of like and Jericho brought it up in one of and of course me being the Looney Tunes guy, remembering cartoons, I remember that specific cartoon where you got that little yappy dog and the big bulldog is his buddy and he's the muscle and stuff like that. And that's we also had a friend back. I hate going this route, but we called him a friend. He was an acquaintance of our group, and when we'd go out to clubs and stuff like this, he'd be the guy that would yap because there's like 4 or 5 buddies behind him, and he thinks that everybody's going to jump in and help him out. And it would be like, no, you run your mouth, too bad, And I think that's the direction they're going with this thing. Enzo keeps yapping his mouth, and Cass gets fed up with having to stick up for his little buddy, so to speak. And it looks like it's going in that direction. And the curiosity for me is, yes, Enzo is great on the mic, but beyond that, will he be able to connect with the audience? And that Cass has that size and has shown that he can talk. So, in the eyes of the office, he might be the long-term project for them.
You know that people are going to have to rewind this because no one was listening to what you were saying. They were all envisioning you back in with your big Greek hair in the club,
with the mullet, with the Greek, the curly mullet, man. Yeah, I was a GID, a GID, a Gino in disguise.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
I had.
Everyone's wondering now who this friend was too.
Yeah.
Was it Arda?
No. I didn't know him back then. Arda's just a young pup, so.
I thought he was 40.
What? Is he that old?
I'm kidding.
No, but yeah. So I hate to admit it. I had the old Stevie B cassette collection in the whole bit.
Wow. Yeah. We're just blank stares here. We mentioned Sasha Banks and Nia Jax. I don't like Nia has just been running through everyone, and that includes Sasha back at the Royal Rumble. So I don't know if you want to really redo the same outcome, but I don't see Nia being beat here. So I don't know what to expect from this match. And to be honest, I don't know if it really matters all that much.
No, and it's kind of like what you said with the Sami Zayn Samoa Joe thing. You almost feel like Nia should run through Sasha Banks in this one as well, but you can't. How are you going to have 3 matches where potentially that's what you might get? So I don't think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see a little more offense from Sasha, trying to get some offense in on Nia Jax, but I think this is the showcase to make Nia Jax look like a legitimate threat leading into WrestleMania, and maybe inserted in that.
This 4-way is really weird. It's like you had the one dominant person in Nia who's just beating everybody. Yeah. And then the other 3, it's just like they've all beaten each other multiple times. That's the story. Pair of cruiserweight matches. Neville will be defending the title against Jack Gallagher. I don't see any need to change the title here, but I'm looking forward to this match.
I finally, there's some interest in the cruiserweight division. I mean,
Neville's been great, and you're starting to really build the division around a lot of different performers, and Jack Gallagher has been one of them. That's really kind of broken through and has a really entertaining style. This should be a very good match. This could be certainly the sleeper match of the show.
I think it will be. And like you said, you got 2 characters who are connecting with the audience. And that's the main thing. The cruiserweight division, the way it was presented was, here's a bunch of cruiserweights. They're on Raw. Here you go. Get behind them. No, there's no reason to get behind them. Now you're having a reason to cheer for Jack Gallagher because his character is very entertaining, like you said, and drawing people in. And Neville, this heel turn by Neville has been great. I think this has been the shot in the arm he needs. And Neville's the kind of guy, even though you don't want to be pigeonholed as a cruiserweight, if you're going to be a cruiserweight, you stay in the division and not branch out into the heavyweight division. But Neville,
I think it's a good role for him because I think if he wasn't, he'd be lost in the shuffle.
Exactly.
Which he was prior to the Cruiserweight division.
Absolutely.
And here he is he's the top guy in the Cruiserweight division. He's been one of the best performers, period, in the company this year.
And I'm actually enjoying Brian Kendrick's little reincarnation.
He hasn't really connected with me.
No?
You know, we've got Brian Kendrick. He will be teaming with Noam Dar to take on Akira Tozawa and his partner Rich Swann on the pre-show.
Which is your basic, here's your pre-show cruiserweight match with a couple of guys who are actually quite talented and hopefully, can get a rise out of the crowd. That's basically what that match is. Only because I know Brian Kendrick and I know that a lot of the stuff he's saying in his promos is probably how he thinks. So, I'm seeing that coming out of his mind.
Maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that is the Fastlane show. I will say that they have done a good job in terms of a number of the matches where you are very interested in the outcomes, where sometimes the win and the loss is secondary to just, match quality. But for this, the main event, Reigns and Strowman, and even Charlotte and Bayley, which I feel they've backed themselves into a corner where no matter what they do, it's going to be met with negativity because I just feel they really got ahead of themselves by putting the title on Bayley this early. So that is Fastlane. Should be an interesting show and sets up your programs for WrestleMania, which Monday is the real kickoff where everything starts to build towards Orlando in April. Yep. So that's going to wrap it up for us. If you want to follow him, you can so at Jimmy Korderas on Twitter, Outlaw Radio, and we'll be back Sunday night, 11 Eastern, right after Fastlane with The Law, as Jason Agnew, Dan Lebransky, and myself will be running through all of the events from Fastlane. We'll also be chatting about UFC 209, and you can listen on TSN 1050 Toronto, TSN 1410 Vancouver, and at liveaudiowrestling.com.